When you watch a movie, foreign that is, and a crime is committed, maybe a letter was involved, the investigating officer always says, like, let's take this to a handwriting expert. Well, handwritings before now were used to know who wrote a letter or who did something. Did you also know that you could use handwriting to discover so many other things? My guest today is a handwriting expert. Oladipupo McJob. He's a pharmacist and a USA certified graphologist and body language consultant. He's the CEO, McDiptoy Consulting Limited, a leading handwriting expert in Nigeria. You're welcome. Thank you very much. Thank you. Please sit. Don't go anywhere. Be right back. You're welcome back. Handwriting, when you watch foreign movies, when a crime has been committed, there's always a handwriting expert, especially when there was a handwriting involved somewhere. Handwriting experts. Do we need that in Nigeria? Do we use that in Nigeria? I didn't know we had it in Nigeria. And coming from the US, how has it been since you came back in this area in Nigeria?
All right, thank you very much. I will respond to that latter part of the question.
Yes.
Do we need it in Nigeria? I think yes. Is it currently so much operational? I don't think so. That's why this kind of platform is very good. Handwriting analysis, also called graphology, is actually coined from two Greek words, which is graphene and logos. It's also just talking about the scientific study of the handwriting. And that's because the concept of that is based on the fact that no two handwritings are the same. Now, have you ever wondered why you had to sign a check in the bank? If your handwriting had nothing to do with your personality, then everybody will write like everybody else. So they don't tell you to stamp the check, they tell you to sign in your own handwriting because it has to do with your personality. So essentially, we express ourselves through our behavior, and one of the ways we do that is through the handwriting. So in criminology, because handwriting has several usefulnesses,
yes.
In criminology, one of the things they make use of is to look out for non-verbal information, to get non-verbal intelligence. And the handwriting can tell you one or two things about this person that is a suspect, or the person that has died, or even, in the case of suicide, for example, what were some of the things going on in the person's mind before committing suicide? Because before somebody writes a suicide note, he has made up his mind he wants to actually die. And we don't really need the suicide note because that will not give us any information. So what can we do when we see traces in somebody's handwriting that can help us to blow the whistle ahead of time? Well, the whistle blowing in this sense now, it might not bring so much millions like
save the person.
You're saying saving the life, and that saves a lot of, So that's part of the reasons why handwriting analysis is something very important. And right now in the country, I'm not even sure we are up to 5 handwriting experts, which is why I believe this kind of platform is very important to create awareness on the benefits of handwriting analysis, how it can be very relevant in personality assessment, medical conditions. There are some diseases you can note just by looking at somebody's handwriting. There are certain things you can talk about somebody, maybe waist pain, just by looking at some letters in the handwriting. You can have an idea whether somebody is having something with the head just by looking at certain letters in the handwriting, and that comes at a deeper level in graphology. But so many areas you can make use of it. In the legal system, we don't run a jury system here in Nigeria, but
yes.
You can make use of the handwriting to determine the jury you want to have. That's outside the country. In the educational setting, teachers can make use of handwriting analysis to understand their pupils or their students better. So many areas you can make use of handwriting analysis in general.
When it comes to things like this, Nigeria is still very backwards. Since you came back, What are the areas so far you have discovered, immediate areas so far you have discovered that this kind of services can be used?
All right. So the first one is in terms of recruitment,
Okay.
employers of labor. There's a lot of turnover right now because most times we look out for wrong parameters while employing people. One of the things we say as graphologists is that don't pay so much attention to a typed or written note. Or, pay attention to the written note, not a typed anything. CV, I understand, but also find a way of the person that is a prospective employer
To
write
write.
something down. Because if it is typed, you cannot see a thing. And there are certain traits that will not display at the interview panel because everybody has a way of, beating the imagination or beating to the whoever is at the panel to it. As long as there's no vaccination, there's no immunization, there's no injection against deception, non-verbal intelligence will be relevant. And under that is what graphology is all about. Because non-verbal skills like reading of somebody's face, there are certain things you can tell about somebody instantly just by looking at the person's face. There are certain things you can know about this individual's attitude to handling pressure by looking at his chin, his jaw, his eyelashes. Even though women have made it so difficult now because they scrape off. But there are things you can look out for generally about somebody's composure, comportment. Statement analysis is also an aspect of non-verbal intelligence. How do you know if somebody is lying to you? Just from a written statement. So and graphology, which is what we are talking about, is very, very major in terms of a tool in non-verbal intelligence. I can know who you are even if you don't say a word. Even if the person doesn't say a word at the panel, we can know who he is before he comes to resume for the job. And
Hold that thought. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. You're welcome back. If you're just joining us, my guest today is a handwriting expert who will look at your handwriting and tell you exactly what you're doing. When it comes to crime, when it comes to all those bodies where they fight crime, do you think they need this kind of services?
Oh, absolutely. The truth is, it is a crime if you don't make use of handwriting analysis as a police person or as a law enforcement agent generally. Because there are things that you cannot get by asking the person directly. You can see from the handwriting. You can see traces of, there's something we call red flags of somebody that has a tendency to be violent. One of the parameters in graphology is called margin. When you look at a handwriting sample and somebody writes from the beginning of the page to the end, there's no space anywhere. It is a red flag. What that means is that this person does not really have any kind of control. And they found out that usually impulse control is a major factor in crime commitment. So if somebody writes from the beginning, because we give you an A4 paper, we don't even give you a ruled paper because that will restrict you already. So we just give you an A4 paper and just tell you to write. There are several traits you look out for, but one of it that you want to circle as a handwriting analyst is that does this person write from the beginning of the paper to the end? Does he write from the top to the bottom? No space, nothing. That kind of person has a propensity to be in your face and even, probably give you a dirty slap if it's under a provocation. Those are some of the traits we are looking out for. We call them red flags. So when you look out for several red flags like that way from a handwriting sample, it tells you something about this person. Aptitude is not just the issue. And that's why in universities you find them saying that the following people have been found worthy in character and in learning. I'm sure that it's not in learning and in character. It shows that attitudinal dispositions are very important. So it's not just about this person is a good guy. He will deliver the numbers. It's not just about delivering numbers. There are traits you are looking out for in the handwriting that goes a long way to tell the person's attitudinal disposition. There's something I learned in the company I was working with before. It's an acronym, ASK, ASK. Attitude, skill, and knowledge. We can give you skill, we can give you the knowledge, but attitude, if you don't have it, you don't have it. So this person can be the best guy, bringing in the numbers in the organization, but he doesn't have a good relationship skill. And that's why under relationship compatibility, one of the things that handwriting analysis does is to be able to see how compatible the people in a particular group are with their managers, because that will go a long way also in affecting the altitude of the company. So it's not just about the aptitude, it's about the attitude that will lead to the altitude of the company eventually. People get sacked not necessarily because they are not good. You can get all the A's, you can get all the 2 1s, first class, but do you relate well? We can tell a bit of you just by having a sample of the handwriting, and we run an analysis on that.
Yes.
So that's in the aspect of relationship compatibility.
Yes.
Relationships, for example, you want to get married, but you don't really know this person until you can have a sample of their handwriting. So if we can get a sample of their handwriting, for example, we can tell you whether or not you are to an extent, compatible. That handwriting analysis will not tell you whether or not your marriage will be successful.
But it can tell you if you're compatible.
Yeah, but compatibility is a major factor in good relationships ultimately. There are things that the handwriting can tell, there are things it cannot tell. The handwriting can tell about your physicality, it can reveal about your emotional state, and it says a lot about your intelligence. So we don't focus on how intelligent somebody is, we focus on how a person is intelligent, because there are two different things. You can say IQ. IQ doesn't mean anything, because sometimes you find very hardened criminals having fantastic IQs. But are you going to base your judgment based on IQ? So the IQ is good, the attitude is an issue. All right. So the handwriting does not reveal, however, your gender. It does not talk about your race. It doesn't reveal your religion. It doesn't speak about your future. It does not give any indication on your nationality. It doesn't say anything about your creed. Otherwise, it makes handwriting analysis what it is not.
Yes.
There was a place in Ikorodu I went to do a presentation, and one of the things I usually do is to do a spot-on analysis. I just get handwriting samples of people that I've not met before, and I start talking about them. You are this, and the accuracy was so much that one of them stood up and said, "You are Aurao." It's a Yoruba version of saying, "You are reading somebody's mind." And he was so serious about it. I said, "But this is scientific. This is purely science, because no two handwritings are the same, just like the thumbprint and the DNA. That's the basis for which handwriting analysis is used for, whatever."
What other areas can you use handwriting? Because in your mail to me, you talked about if somebody, education, you talked about the law. So just touch on all the areas that you feel that handwriting could be used, yes.
All right, so
don't respond to that, you respond when we come back. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back. You're welcome back. If you're just joining us, in this final moments, our topic is still handwriting, how handwriting can help discover so much about you. And my guest is handwriting expert, Oladipupo McJoe. So in these remaining moments, talk us through some of the things, some of the areas in our lives that handwriting could be used. But before we do that, let me ask you one question. Polygraph, when you're doing a lie detector, they've been known to be wrong sometimes. And they've been known to make mistakes. What do you think? You don't think that can happen with the handwriting?
Okay, so, actually, polygraph was outlawed since 1988 in the US, for example, and that's because it responds more to the
emotion, yes.
So you cannot base anything on that. Now, the handwriting is different in the sense that even though there are certain parameters in the handwriting that they are subject to change or to the mood, for example, the slant, the slope, the size, these are different parameters that are subject to change. But fundamentally, because your handwriting is peculiar to you, certain traits that we look out for are there that talks about you. For example, the slant of the handwriting. When the slant is there, if the person is happy, the slant goes in a particular direction. But the baseline of the handwriting, whether or not you are happy, your baseline has some consistency. That's what a graphology looks out for. And it can make some assessments and say this person is temperamental, this person is a little bit optimistic, is this, is that. All right, so whichever way, handwriting is relevant. However, in terms of other areas, it can be relevant.
Yes.
Talk about personality assessment. Yes. There are certain things you don't know about yourself until the handwriting reveals it. So even in determining vocational guidance too, your personality assessment is key. Once you know certain things about yourself, maybe some decisions you are taking or certain steps you are taking, you wouldn't have taken it because you know that I think I'm wired for this. I think I'm more of a speaking person. I think I'm more of extroverted than introverted. Handwriting analysis will reveal that to you. So that can affect even the vocation you want to go into. Or even after you have graduated, you can say, okay, I think I want to be a presenter. For example, if I take your handwriting sample, it's clear that I'm going to see certain traits that tally with what you are doing now. Okay, so that's one advantage. In the educational sector, a lot of students don't become what they are supposed to become because they have tutors that don't really have understanding of the people they're handling. In the handwriting, there's something called cumulative intelligence. And you see that by looking at the letters M, N, R, and H. For a teacher that has basic understanding of handwriting analysis, there are some students you shouldn't bother asking questions because they will be under pressure. So how do you help that kind of student? Because you know this student is a cumulatively intelligent student, unlike another one that is analytically intelligent. Analytically intelligent student, they grab concepts very easily. A cumulative one takes his time over time. Not that he is less intelligent, but just needs time. That's all. So for a teacher, so you are talking to Tola, you are saying, Tola, what do you feel about that question on the board? I'll come back to you now. And you face other students, you are saying other things. You are giving Tola time to gather the answer. And you come back and say, so Tola, what do you feel? I say, I think the answer is zebra. Oh, clap for Tola. That will boost the child's intelligence. Because motivation is an aspect that boosts the intelligence of the child. So you find out that that is relevant in education. In the banking sector, there are basic tips of handwriting analysis that can help you detect a fake check. Now, I know that the mandate is there, which is part of what the bank puts in place. But outside that, you still find people beating the bank to it. Oh, they understand that, what they are looking for is just let's check the details. Let's check how the trend has been. Oh, people understand that, so they can go and borrow 1 million and put it there. Let it be domiciled for some time. And after a while, this person does not have a plan to repay. Do you know that in the handwriting sample, there are traits called procrastination? So that you can see even from the handwriting quite a number of times whether or not this person will pay. For example, people that find it difficult to handle money, you see it from the way they write numbers. It looks rugged. And I have found that personally to be true. A lot of people that their numbers or their figures in a written statement has a lot of issues. Either you have punches, you have blotches and all that. Most times they are not good managers of money. So those are non-verbal skills, non-verbal tips you can get just by looking at somebody's handwriting. It's about what you are looking for. If you know what you're looking out for, then you get it right. So banking sector, you can understand a particular client better. You can teach the customer-facing staff what to look out for even when they get a check signed. So before they even bring it to the manager and they say, Oga, he has not paid or is defaulting. Oh, the tips were already in the check he even gave you. It's just that you didn't know what to look out for. For example, if you sign 1,000 times your signature, none of it will be exactly the same.
That is true.
So that's the basis for which handwriting analysis can be used. But I find that even in the banks, sometimes they don't get it right in that they are looking out for a signature that is exactly the same.
It's true. And they say signature
irregularity.
Yes.
But there are things you look out for. You look out for the speed, the movement, the slowness of the signature. And that tells you instantly. Even before you put it under an infrared by a graphologist, you can know, I think I suspect this. So, but at least you can raise that eyebrow or create that awareness that this check, I think, is fake. It depends on, how we go into it. But the other thing is, our banks even are aware that this kind of thing exists. Okay, but that's why we are having this kind of program. So that's for the banking sector. The other sector is actually in the legal aspect is actually strange, or it's still very foreign in the country right now. It's called question document examination or forensic document examination, and that's talking more about criminology. So for a forensic document examiner, who is also a graphologist, what you're interested in, because you have had cases of fake wills. Somebody says, no, it wasn't our father that wrote this.
Yes.
Now you are checking that's more even scientific, because you are looking out for the ink texture, the paper quality and all that. By the time you run through the analysis, it gives you where the person that tried to forge it started forging it from. And it's all based on basic principles of handwriting analysis. There are so many areas that you are looking out for where handwriting analysis can play a role. Relationship compatibility, I already said.
Yes, already said so.
So how can you have somebody that is not a potential wife beater, for example, by just looking at the handwriting? Or he can say good words, have the kind of job that you say, and he can have TDH, tall, dark, and handsome. But there are also devils that are tall, dark, and handsome. But then what can you look out for in the handwriting and predict to a very large extent? Because the validity ratio of graphology is close to 95%. So there's no absolute science anywhere, even psychology and all that. But then, do we have a tool that is fast? Because as I speak, handwriting analysis is the fastest psychological tool that you can use in assessing an individual. It's the fastest as I speak. No other projective testing technique, no other psychometric testing tool is as fast as graphology. It's actually as good as the graphologist, that is the graphologist that's using it. So it's as accurate also as the graphologist that's making use of it, but it's the fastest you can have. You don't need up to 10 seconds to know basic things about how somebody manages time, how well he manages money, how his emotions are, whether it's temperamental, is this, is that, he has a lot of energy. All that you can use, even before somebody comes before the interview panel and says, we want to admit you in our company, or sorry, we'll get back to you.
In Nigeria, we try to interpret things differently. Yeah. But I know that basically abroad, they use it, the ones we know, we watch on TV, how they fish out criminals who have written letters. How have you found it in Nigeria?
All right. One, the acceptance level has been very low, because you are not, whatever you are not used to, you want to be careful. Particularly for the conservationists, they want to know whether this thing truly works. At times, you're asked to come to just give representation. Let's see how it is. Okay, this makes a lot of sense. And one of the things that really blows the mind of everybody is when you do a spot analysis. So I just tell you, write something on paper, or maybe sign your signature and write one or two things, or I dictate it to them and they submit it. At times they submit ahead of time, but by the time I mention 1, 2, 3 things about them and they say, well, this person does not know us, then they give a listening ear. So what we are just saying is that if it is embraced early enough, for example, in schools, you have a lot of private schools, chain private schools. If they embrace things like this, at times you can fish out a child that is having serious issues because he's under abusive parents, just by looking at the handwriting. Sometimes you just ask them to draw, because a stroke is a stroke wherever you find it on paper. It has nothing to do with even writing. It can even be just draw. When you draw, we can pick out 1 or 2 things about it. So if it's embraced from schools, then they can begin to make use of it to help children or students get a better vocation in life, so that they can become what exactly they have been coined out for. And that will solve a lot of problems in our country generally, because a lot of people are doing what they are not meant to be doing. They go to school, getting more foolish, get employed in companies and become more foolish because they were in the wrong place actually in the first place. It doesn't have to do with whether or not it scored the best marks. It is that it's not just wired for these kind of things. So that's one of the things we are trying to preach.
Thank you very much. It's an eye-opener.
Yeah.
I won't give you my handwriting though. Thank you. It was nice meeting you. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. handwriting, as Job has said, it's a way not just to catch criminals, but in a way to safeguard a lot of things. The future of our children, our relationships, our work. I think it's about time, since we all now on social media, the world, they say, is a global village. We are quick to embrace some things. We should also be quick to embrace handwriting. It will help us in every area, as you've heard, to help us in every area of our lives. We can use it to decongest our prisons, knowing that a lot of people are in our prisons awaiting trial for crimes most of them did not commit. So I think people out there who are in positions of authority to use handwriting experts, I think this would be a very good place to start. Until I come your way another time, my name is Yudi. This is My Factor. Goodbye. God bless. See you again next week.